Hey guys, I'm Gabby. Welcome back to my channel. I am a 22-year-old au pair currently living in Paris, and today's video is all about Miss Emily in Paris, the woman of the hour. So I would be lying if I said that Emily in Paris didn't inspire me to want to come back to Paris. I remember when the show first came out, I was a senior in college. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. It was December, it was cold. So when I was watching the show, the views, the scenery, the romance, the food, it got me. It just made me so excited to want to come back and experience Paris all over again. And obviously, maybe not so obviously, I knew that I was an over-romanticized and fantasized depiction of Paris. But I feel like that didn't really click until I got here. And even a lot of my family and friends always ask me, is it like Emily in Paris? Are you living the Emily in Paris dream? So I wanted to compare my life with Miss Emily in Paris's to show you guys what's realistic, what's very unrealistic about living in Paris. Because I feel like my season is looking a little bit different. Miss Emily has a lot of explaining to do.
So you say you wanna get away.
So when Emily moved to Paris, she was placed in a chambre de bonne, which translates to maid's room. So back then they would have a separate room for the maid, and it was usually at the top of the floor, and it was the tiniest room ever. And I'm currently living in one, which is how I know that her room is not a chambre de bonne, because usually they're 9 meters to like 15 meters max. I can literally almost touch both of the walls. So yeah, they're really small spaces, and her room is more of like a studio slash one bedroom apartment because she had a separation between her bedroom and her living room, which doesn't exist. My chambre de bonne is my living room, my bathroom, my kitchen, my dining room, and my bedroom. So yeah, she had one full bed, which made me realize, okay, it's probably not a chambre de bonne. Yeah, she had like a bathroom and stuff included, which usually isn't common, but the more updated ones do have a bathroom. I luckily do have a bathroom. But the one thing that was pretty accurate was that it's at the top of the floor. Mine is at the highest floor, which is the 6th floor. It usually doesn't have any elevators, and you have to climb up all the stairs. Luckily, this is a more modern building, so there is an elevator. And because you're on the highest floor, you usually get amazing views, which Emily had a wonderful view, and luckily I have a really nice view because I'm all the way up. So it's at least the perk of being, you know, 6 floors high. So if you're moving to Paris and wanting to live in a chambre de bonne, do your research. The next thing that felt very unrealistic is the fact that she never ever got on public transportation. Paris is a very walkable city. You can get around by walking, but there are places where you literally have to take the transportation, otherwise it'll take you hours. And so she never got on the metro, she never used the bus, she never really biked around either. And I feel like the metro is all a part of the Parisian experience, you know, getting into the crowded metros, having your phone stolen, or waiting for the bus that's never gonna come, or staying out really late so that the metro isn't even running anymore, so you have to take the sketchy night bus and you're surrounded by crackheads. Yeah, I just feel like they missed that part of the experience. Which gets into my other point. Emily commutes to work every day by walking, which isn't uncommon or unheard of in Paris. Like I said, a very walkable city, sidewalks everywhere. However, not in those shoes. She is wearing stiletto heels every single day on these cobblestone floors. I literally wear like kitten heels and almost twist my ankles, so I don't see how that's happening. I feel like in the show they made Paris look so clean, and don't get me wrong, Paris is literally the most beautiful city that I've ever been to, but there's a lot of trash everywhere. I literally walked by so many like trash bins or whatever that are filled with garbage. I've seen so many rats in the metro, and it's not giving Ratatouille at all. So it's a very, very dirty city, and I feel like they didn't depict that at all. And they also made Paris seem very sunny. Every episode of the show, it was very yeah, very sunny, very warm. And I don't know if you guys lived in Paris, especially in the winter, but there are days where we haven't seen the sun for like 2 or 3 weeks. And anytime the sun does come out, it's like a whole like big deal. Like I get so excited. I feel like I have to be out all day or whatever because it's just really rare, which makes seasonal depression very, very real. So if you guys are affected by the weather, moving to Paris might not be the best bet because you literally won't see the sun for a long time. And another thing, where are the black people? Paris is a very diverse city. There's a huge African population, and I feel like that was not depicted in the show at all. There's literally certain arrondissements that I go to where it's majority black people, and I feel like they didn't really capture that. They didn't capture the various ethnicities of Paris. And so yeah, I just wished we could have seen more black faces, or just people of color in general. I feel like they gave us that one black character, the employee, and thought, you know, the job was done, but obviously it's not. So now for the realistic parts of Emily in Paris, things that I actually found that happened to me or that I've experienced, or maybe even my friends experienced. Making friends is probably one of the biggest fears, concerns that I had. I was like, how am I gonna make friends? I don't speak the language. And I remember on the show watching the episode where Emily goes to the park to eat her lunch and bumps into Mindy, and you know, they start talking or whatever, and they become friends after that. My experience wasn't that exactly, but I remember when I took my host kids to the park, they were running around, so I was like calling after them in English, and another nanny actually heard me speaking English and was like, oh my gosh, you're speaking English, like it's so nice to hear someone who speaks English. So that was one of those moments I was like, oh, this feels like Emily in Paris. Like I can't believe someone just like came up to me and we just started having conversation and became friends. So if you guys have seen my previous video about dating in Paris, me and my friend Matilda share experience of dating out here using the dating apps, what Frenchmen are like. And one thing I feel like Emily in Paris kind of got right, I don't want to generalize, I don't want to get canceled for this, is how French men view Americans in Paris, especially American women in Paris. And so one of the episodes, Emily goes to a party with Mindy and she runs into this French guy, and you know, they start talking or whatever, and they kind of hit it off. And so, you know, he's kind of like teaching her the language or whatever, and they're flirting, and then in the end he says that he likes American obviously I'm not going to say that word. So I kind of feel like this was accurate because a lot of French men, especially when they know that you're an American, think that you're here just as a tourist, so you're here, you know, for a good time, not a long time. So they just assume that, you know. When I went out with my friends one day, this guy basically like got my Instagram or whatever and sent me this message that I just feel like I had to share to prove my case. He said, if you I can't even read it. If you love to have some bang bang, I invite you home for an unforgettable night before you go back to North Carolina. So he obviously thought that I was a tourist, even though I told him that I was working here as an au pair. But yeah, there's just this misconception that, you know, as American women, we're kind of easy and that we're just here for nothing serious, something casual. One thing, you know, being an American or just foreigner in Paris that I find difficult, that, you know, Emily struggled with, is learning the language. I'm not really sure if Emily tried that hard, at least in the first season, but in the second season, I remember she goes back to her class and expects to be in the second level of French, and her teacher is like, no, you're in level 1. I really felt that because I remember taking my second semester of French and being completely lost. Everyone around me spoke French so perfectly, and I was speaking like I was 3 years old. So yeah, learning a new language is really hard, not impossible, but knowing English is such a privilege because so many people do know English, so it's really easy for me to get around without speaking French. So I feel like it makes the language learning process a little bit harder, but I have to be dedicated and committed to learning the language if I want to become fluent. So the last and final thing is how Paris actually feels much smaller than it is. I remember watching the episode where Emily meets Camille, and she was saying how overwhelming the city is, and Emily kept running into Camille, which I was like, there's no freaking way this is possible. Paris is such a big city. There's over 2.1 million people in the city, but now that I'm actually living here, it's insane to say that it's actually pretty true. I've literally run into so many people on the metro, on the bus, as I'm on my way to work. And even one day I ran into a friend while I was on a date, and she was also on a date, and we were going to the same place. And having those moments is so nice because I don't know, it's just like really sweet. Like when you run into people you know and like see familiar faces or whatever, it makes Paris not seem that big of a city, and it makes it feel more like home. So I would definitely say that there are some realities to the show, and some of the things that Emily experienced can happen to you, but just be careful. Don't go in blindly and think that you are about to be the next Emily in Paris, because that's what I thought. And I'm still waiting on my Gabrielle. I'm waiting for a man to cook me omelets in the morning. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below your favorite thing about Emily in Paris, or if you live in Paris, the things that you found realistic or unrealistic. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one.